अमोल सर
Now it's
लाइव
live.
कर दीजिए प्लीज.
कर दिया मैं.
It is live now. You go ahead now.
मैम लाइव हो क्या आप?
Someone has rightly said, when you visualize, then you materialize. Think back to a major milestone in your life. What did you see here? See, feel, and heal. Recreating these similar images and feelings and trying them to future successes will help rewire your brain to perform that way again. Visualization is training for your mind the same way that practicing game mechanics is training your body. Good players will train their skills, great players will also train their minds. A very warm and gracious welcome to respected Mr. Nishal Mahajan, our resource person for today, respected Principal Sir Professor S.P. Agarwal, respected Dr. Kesh Bhagwanshi, Director Department of Vocation, respected Dr. Mohinder P. Nodal Officer Department of Vocation, my worthy guests and the participants encompassing students, faculties, scholars who have joined us today. A very good evening to everyone. I, Ashima Jain, convener of EdZen, the Vocational Society of Department of Vocation, Ramanujan College, welcomes you all to the day 2 of this 2 days online workshop based on the theme 21st Century Skills. 21st Century Skills are based 21st century skills are based primarily on deeper learning skills and are comprised of a combination of soft skills such as interaction, collaboration, and hard skills such as digital literacy, media literacy, etc. 21st century skills are those that hiring managers value most. Displaced workers who upskill and retrain to learn these new skills have the opportunity to re-enter the workforce in a meaningful way. The idea behind visualizing your goals is that if you see your goal, you're most likely to achieve it. By having the ability to visualize your goals, you create an inner motivation to strive for your goals and dreams. Therefore, one of the most important skills you can learn, and hence leading us to the topic for today, is the power of visualization. Now, I would like to invite our respected principal, Sir, Professor XP Agarwal, to enlighten us with few words. So,
Thank
over to you,
you.
sir.
Thank you, Ashima. Good afternoon, everyone. And once again, welcome to our speaker, Mr. Nishal Mahajan. And welcome to my colleagues who are with us in this workshop, Ashima, Mohinder, and other colleagues, and the participants. Once again, I welcome you to this second leg of our 2-day online workshop on 21st century skills. Yesterday, I think we had a program on time management by another speaker, and today we will have on power of visualization. Well, friends, Ashima has told you about the 21st century skills, but and also explained what our objective is in this power of visualization. Actually, in today's time, everybody needs some kind of skills, and not only need skills, but we have to leave our old skills and acquire the new skills. Because when pandemic started, most of us was not comfortable with teaching through online mode, but today that is the only way, and we have learned it very fast, and we have left those other skills unusable, and this skill as a very important skill. And accordingly, that we have also trained people in these areas all over the country. Besides training the teachers, now our focus is on students also. So we are doing certain programs, as well as we are launching certain programs like certificate courses, executive development programs, diploma courses in different areas of skills. We are also planning to launch about 40 online courses on various skills which are which are of use to the students and community at large. Now, this today's workshop, the power of visualization. Well, friends, what is visualization? Whatever you imagine and you are able to create that and able to produce that. Like, let us say today, if I'm teaching a course in history and I want to depict Red Fort to my students, so I should be able to visualize and go to the Red Fort and show them that is what I wanted to teach to you. That can be done through visual reality, VR and augmented reality. All these things are available in technology. Now, similarly, doctors work today, most of the time we are not able to do it physically. So if everything is done online, so we can visualize certain things. We can see inside the body also, and can do the treatments and other things. So the purpose of this is to empower our students, our teachers, with this power of visualization. And another important thing, as Nidhi said, as Ashima said, that these 21st century skills are extremely important for today's working environment. Whether these are new technological skills like data analysis, business analytics, machine learning, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, blockchain. All these are new skills or new technological skills which are required for the students to get jobs immediately, or to get jobs even during this pandemic. So these things are extremely important for everyone, not only for teachers, not only for students, but also for labor, migrant labor, or the skilled labor. Everybody needs these skills, today, in order to be making its living, or in order to make its presence felt. So these things are extremely important. So Nishchal will talk to you on power of visualization in detail. But once again, welcome and thank you very much for joining this workshop. Over to Ashima.
Okay. Thank you so much, Principal Sir, for your wise words and sharing your thoughts with us. And now moving forward, I would like to introduce our mentor for today, Mr. Nishchal Mahajan. Now, Mr. Nishchal Mahajan is the founder and director of 3S Educare Corporation and a senior management professional. He is a top-ranked student transformationalist and continues to engage at many B schools. Mr. Mahajan's 23 years of experience has been in varied industries and geographies and has handheld varied leadership roles. He is an outstanding trainer with over 15 years of experience and has conducted more than 100 workshops on personality development, communication, career success, etc. in various schools, institutes, and universities, and has also been imparting training across frontline and middle management levels for various corporate houses in the areas of effective communication, presentation skills, selling skills, motivation, and developing the winning habit, team building, leadership. Mr. Mahajan is also a certified emotional intelligence and critical thinking trainer, an external faculty at various management schools, and a certified happiness coach in the Berkeley Institute of Wellbeing. So we are greatly honored to have you today with us. Now I would like to request Mr. Mahajan to take over the session. Over to you, sir. Mahajan, sir?
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. You're audible.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for such a gracious introduction, and a very warm good evening to each of the participants. And thank you very much, sir, for inviting me, Principal Sir, and the entire team at Ramanujan College. So going forward, this topic, the power of visualization. Now, this topic is something which focuses on development and transformation, and this topic has a focus on having control over your mind. So for the next 1.5 hours that we are going to interact, I will bring out the concept of this topic through stories, and give you some roadmap in terms of how we can start this practice. Um, and I'm sure we'll take questions at the end. So like Sir said, we have to prepare ourselves for the 21st century skills. So in that context, I guess learning, unlearning, and relearning is a continuous process. And that is where we come from. So each one of us, because I understand we have students and we have faculties here in this session. So students are finally, they're completing their graduation, they'll go for the post-graduation and finally get into the corporate world. And the faculties have had wealth of experience, they're experts in their subject matter, but still learning, still learning. And the pandemic has taught us that disruption is part of life now. And how to handle this disruption, we need to also have control over the mind. So this becomes all the more imperative for us to really build ourselves from this point of view, to build ourselves from not only from the hard skills point of view, like ma'am said earlier, but also from the soft skills point of view, and also building ourselves internally and making us mentally strong. So what is visualization? You see, we all have our aspirations, and I'm sure we all have our dreams. When you were growing up, when each one of us was young and we were growing up, so we had our aspiration of being wealthy, having a big house, driving a expensive car, having expensive gadgets, wearing all branded clothes. You see, so those were our aspirations, and that is what we wanted when we grew up. And then somewhere we lost track. We've not been able to get into that kind of that kind of achieving things. And we know someone who seems to have everything, and we feel, oh yeah, he's not so very intelligent, he also doesn't work very hard, but why is it that he attracts things and we don't attract? You see, and more importantly, I'll also share with you an example in terms of every new year, we all make resolutions, you see, and we write down something in our diary, and then we make our resolutions. I will lose weight, I will be regular at the gym, and I will do such and such thing, I will learn such and such thing, and we note it in the diary. And then 1-2 days, we are very consistent and disciplined in opening the diary, reading through this, whatever we've written. And as the days progress, we get into the middle of January, end of January, start of February, and by that time, we've forgotten what our resolutions were. It's like, for example, when you're wanting to go to the gym, and you are very excited, and on the 1st of January, you wake up, you go to the gym, and then you find that as you approach the gym, you don't find any parking because it's all taken right at early morning. And then somehow after 10 minutes of searching for a parking space, you find your parking and you walk up to the gym, and then you see that every machine has a queue. And each one of the members are there occupied, and they are vigorously training. And then you go to the administrator of the gym and ask him, what is this? When do I find time to get onto my machine? And the administrator says, sir, have patience. Probably by 10 days, this is all going to be there for 10 days, and then people are going to filter out after 10 days. And then you see it will not be as crowded as you're seeing it right now. So what does that mean? That means that somewhere we are not sustaining our effort, and we are mechanically trying to get into that mode, right? So what is visualization? So visualization is a technique, is a process for your development and transformation. And you see, it is a process where you create a mental image and where you visualize and rehearse that image in your mind of what you want in the future. And for what you want in the future, you need to then start thinking about what new habits I need to develop. So what I'll also do is I'll also give you a roadmap of trying how to build new habits, because at the end of the day, you've probably set a goal for yourself. And to achieve that goal, then you need to figure out what is the process you need to imbibe in your routine to achieve that goal. And how are you going to sustain in the process? And what are the new habits you need to develop in that process? So I'll try and also in the session give you an idea about habits and how to build on those. So visualization is where you are visualizing something that you want in your future. And you may not know this, but your mind has the power to create and manifest whatever you want out of your life. And whether it is your dream job, whether it is some material possession that you want for yourself, whether it is your a good relationship that you want with your spouse or family or friends, it is your mind and the thoughts that come in your mind, and it is capable of building those vibrations to give you, whatever you want in your life. So we are going to discuss on all this, and I will, like they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. What does that mean? That means that image carries much more weight than the words. And when you see, when you study in your classes, and when the faculty also teaches you, there is always a visual, impact, or there is always a visual example of what the concept they're trying to teach. Because when you see something, you capture it, and it stays in your mind, and then you are able to sustain that learning for a longer period of time. So now, so like I said, visualization is creating an image about what you want in future, and it is how are you then trying to reliving that future and getting that future, what you want for your future self and as a goal in future, and how you are then reliving that all aspects in your daily routine, you see. And let me share and start with a story, and through this story I will bring out the concept of visualization. Long back in Russia, there was a Jew, and his name was Nathan Sharansky, and he was living in Russia, and he was arrested because the Russians thought that he was an American spy, and they arrested him and then put him in jail, uh, and then he was in jail living his time. And when he was in jail, now he thought to himself, how am I going to keep myself busy? Because the jail cell is very cramped, where there's not much space to move on, and when he has to stay there, obviously there's a lot of many thoughts that come into your mind. Then your body starts to deteriorate, your mind starts to deteriorate. So he started thinking to himself, how am I going to keep myself active till the time I come out of the jail? And to keep his body fit, he started exercising, and but he had a thought that body is okay, I'm exercising, my body is going to be fine, but how am I going to keep my brain fresh? How am I going to activate my brain? And how am I going to prevent my brain to deteriorate? And what he started doing was that he thought, okay, fine, let me start playing chess in the mind, right? And then he started closing his eyes and visualizing 64 squares with all the pieces there where they are meant to be on the chessboard. And he starts thinking of playing chess. And then he thinks, now who do I play chess with? One is me, who's going to be the other person? And he thinks in his mind that let me play chess with the current world champion. And in those times, the current world champion was Garry Kasparov. And then he starts playing chess day in, day out, with imagination of Garry Kasparov as his opponent every day. And this went on 365 days for 12 years. And then there was a change in regime in America, and Bill Clinton came in. Bill Clinton was sworn in as the president. And then Bill Clinton made a request to the Russian government to release, and on that request, the Russian government released Nathan Stransky. Now, when the Russian government released Nathan Stransky, he decided that he'll not stay in Russia, and he moved on to Israel. Now there, in due course, he also became a cabinet minister in the government, Israeli government. And one day, Garry Kasparov had to visit Israel. Now, during the visit, there was a demonstration match also scheduled. Now, a demonstration match is where the world champion or the grandmasters, they play against opponents at one single time. So there could be 4 opponents at one single time, 5 opponents at one single time, 10 opponents at one single time, and they play against each one of them. Now, when Garry Kasparov landed in Israel and he had a scheduled demonstration match against his opponents, so there were 5 opponents, and he started playing against those 5 opponents on that particular day. And he could defeat 4, but he got defeated by the 5th one. And the 5th opponent was Nathan Stransky. Now, the reporters covering that event were all very surprised and shocked that you are not a chess player and you're nowhere near a grandmaster. And how come you defeated Garry Kasparov? And then he recounts his story. And then he recounts his experience. So when I was in the jail, I had visualized that I am playing chess and defeating every day Garry Kasparov for 365 days and for 12 years. So when I have experienced defeating him in my mind for 365 days for 12 years, and that's how I defeated him today. So that practice in the mind, that visualization in the mind, was manifested on the day that he defeated Garry Kasparov. That's the power of mind. And that's the power the visualization has on your future bearings. So visualization is a technique that involves using your imagination to come up with and visualize scenarios in your mind's eye. And when you use these techniques on a regular basis, what are you doing when you're using this technique on a regular basis? You are creating a mental image of something and then concentrating on that situation or image for some time on a regular basis. And then you are slowly and slowly changing your thoughts and perceptions. And that is how then it is getting into the direction of being manifested into reality. That is the key. We have students, we have faculties, and we all look for something. We all want something in the future. When we want something in the future, we have to start. It's like meditation in the morning. When you wake up in the morning and you sit for meditation, and then you visualize what you want to achieve. You start visualizing from small things. And when you start regularly doing that and you see those things being manifested in reality, then it becomes a habit. Like, for example, there are a lot of athletes, a lot of people, a lot of sports people who do visualization, like ma'am said in her address. But what is it that they're doing? Because they are playing in high stress competitions, and they're playing day in, day out, and they are obviously every day under the stress of performance. And how do they keep their mind calm? This is where how they start visualizing, and it helps them keeping their mind calm. And I'll give you techniques and steps how to get into this practice of visualization. But how do these athletes do? You see, when the athletes start practicing, they start visualizing about what they want to achieve with a sense of absolute certainty. Because when you visualize, then you visualize according to your 5 tastes. And when you visualize with your 5 senses, this is what athletes do. And they visualize this with those 5 senses with absolute certainty. And once they've done that, they tap their full potential to it. And they give their full potential to it. So when they are tapping their complete potential on an absolute certainty which they have, which the clarity they have in their mind, they start to take action. And when they start to take action, they start getting results. And when they start getting massive results with the actions that they've taken, by tapping their potential for the certainty that they have set for themselves, and this whole cycle reinforces the belief. And when it reinforces the belief, they practice again and they make it a habit. You see, so this is something we will discuss today. And this visualization technique is something which will help you control your mind. Like when we had this disruption caused by the pandemic, nobody had anticipated the pandemic, and then everybody was anxious, everybody was stressed, people were losing their loved ones, people were not very sure what to do. People were tied in their actions because they couldn't help. How do you keep calm in those situations? How do you relax and think clearly in those situations? And that is where you need to control your mind. And because mind is always above the matter, mind over matter, you see. So once you control your mind and then you focus on meditation and visualization, we are living in an age where people want instant gratification, you see. And so somewhere in pursuing that gratification, we lose our concept of balance. We lose our concept of how to be more relaxed within ourselves, and that is something which will help us grow. So visualization as a technique helps us in controlling our mind, you see, and it has certain benefits as well. So the goals that we set for ourselves and the visualization which we start having in us in terms of using as a technique, because this is something we want for us in future, helps us in achieving that goal. It has certain benefits, you see, and the benefits that it has is something that I will just share with you. So the benefits that you get with this visualization Because end of the day, we are all focusing on getting a desired result in future, you see. And whether we want to achieve that, what we want to achieve in future, we want to achieve that with a sense of stress or with a sense of relaxed mind, is something that is dependent on us. So the benefits that we have is one, that the first benefit is that it activates our creative subconscious. So let's say, for example, I was reading a story of an international athlete, you see, and this story was where his coach says that because we practice individually in a closed environment where there is not much huge crowd that you get in the stadiums. So this world champion athlete, what does he do? He visualizes, closes his eyes and visualizes, this is how I'm going to enter the stadium. This is how I'm going to step into the ring. This is going to be the smell that I'll have, or this is what I'm going to, feel in the atmosphere. This is how the crowd is going to cheer. So all that he expects in the stadium is what he's visualizing alone in his time, closing his eyes and reliving that environment which he expects in the stadium. So when he's doing that day in, day out, vis-a-vis somebody who doesn't practice this, so he might have practiced with all his potential and hard work. So there is a difference when both of them enter the stadium. When the person who has not visualized the environment enters the stadium, he feels in awe by seeing the crowd, by listening to the cheers, by listening to the noise that comes, the different kind of an aura that is there in the stadium. So somewhere he gets anxious, somewhere he gets little unsettled in his mind, and that's something which unsettles in his mind, and that's something which unnerves him little bit, probably impacts his performance also. Vis-a-vis somebody, this champion athlete, who has visualized his every step, in terms of how he's going to approach, how he's going to enter the stadium, how he's get into the ring, how he's going to greet his opponent, how he's going to greet the referee, what kind of noise, cheer is going to come into the stadium, where will he see the audience which will be sitting in the stadium. So he's visualized each thing step by step. And when he has done that, he feels comfortable. He feels at home. He feels, oh yes, I have experienced this. So the way he approaches, the confidence level with which he would approach would be a little different than the one who has not done it. And that would help his performance. And that would impact his performance in a different manner. So what does it do? It activates your creative subconscious. So because you're visualizing all the 5 senses that you can, step by step, because visualization is also, visualization is also 2 types. One is an outcome visualization where you are actually focusing on the result. And one is the process visualization where you are visualizing step by step in achieving that result that you set out for yourself. And if you were to ask me, I would, depending upon the situation, but most of the times, what I would suggest is that you should focus on your process visualization, because that will help you identify each step in detail. So the first benefit that we've discussed is it activates your creative subconscious. You see, because then you will start generating creative ideas to achieve your goal. And trust me, you ask your faculty, you ask your parents, people would have visualized or practiced visualization at some point in time, right? I visualized it for myself as well when I was when I got into public speaking, and when it was my first time to speak in public, and obviously before the night I was to speak in public, you close your eyes and you visualize how are you going to start, how are you going to get into the flow, how are you going to end, everything like that, how is going to be the audience, you see, and try and get maximum information from the organizers, and then try and visualize things. And that's what makes you prepared, because the second benefit all this does is it programs your brain. And that's the second benefit. Doing all this, what will happen is, when it programs your brain more readily perceives the resources you will need to achieve your dreams or goal. You see? So the moment you visualized, it sends signals, so your brain perceives what is it that you would require, and that is what the vibrations start happening in, because you see that vibrations attract energy. All right. And that is what it helps you achieve your dreams, by perceiving what you need to achieve your goals, by visualizing what you want. And what is the third? And the third is that it activates attraction from people who will help you or who can help you achieve your dreams. So who are the people that who can help you achieve your dreams? You would need people who you feel are the those who might be experts, who have knowledge, or you might need resources, or there might be circumstances that could be favoring you. You see, I remember a story wherein there's this Zen master and his disciple. They're walking through the forest, and along the way they see a huge branch of tree blocking the way. And the disciple says to the Zen master that I can remove this obstacle from the way. You please step aside, and I can remove it, and then probably we will cross it. Now, the Zen master says to the disciple, all right, and you use all your available resources. And by saying this, the Zen master steps aside. Now, the disciple is trying now to lift the branch, the heavy branch, but he's unable to do that. And after trying for some time, and the Zen master sees that now he's not been able to do it, and he asks the disciple, what happened? What went wrong? He said, I thought I can remove it, but I'm not able to. I probably don't have the strength. And then the Zen master says, look, I told you, use all your available resources. Now, because you did not visualize it, you did not think it in your mind, how are you going to do it? You did not ask for my help. And when you did not ask for my help, you're doing it all alone. So when you're visualizing something, all the help that you need, all the resources that you need, all the favorable circumstances that you need will probably get attracted towards you. And all you need is go to the people and ask for help. And that is what happens when you start visualizing what you want in future. And how additionally does this benefit is that it builds your internal motivation. Your students, we're talking about skills of 21st century. And in this 21st century skills, one thing that each one of us requires is being self-motivated all the time. But because of the instant gratification that we want, we tend to keep our motivation on external happenings. ये चीज हो गई तो I'll be happy, I'll be motivated. ये चीज हो गई तो I'll be happy, I'll be motivated. ये चीज नहीं हुई, I'll be demotivated or I'll be unhappy. So when that thing happens, you are basing your motivation, you are basing your internal state of mind, which needs to be calm, relaxed, and not agitated, on something over which you have no control. So if it happens, you are happy. If it doesn't happen, you are unhappy because you can't control it. So what you should do is, visualizing as a technique has the benefit of keeping you internally motivated. And what does it do? It helps you take necessary actions to achieve your dreams, to achieve your goals that you have set out for yourself by facing obstacles, by facing challenges in a manner that is required. Right? So the 4 benefits that we've spoken: it activates your subconscious mind, it programs your brain, it attracts people, resources, circumstances towards your goal, and it gives you internal motivation. This is something that you require even for the 21st century skill. So visualization. Now the question you would ask me is, how do we do it? How do we start? What are the steps? What are the steps to achieve my motivation or achieve my get into this process of visualization, right? And it's just a question because it's a very valid question. ये सब तो ठीक है, लेकिन करेंगे कैसे? So the steps that are there for visualization, getting into that habit of visualization. You see, I remember, I'll tell you from my experience. I was in the school basketball team, you see, and we had a coach. So obviously, what he would do us every morning when we used to practice was, so when we used to come down to the basketball court, you see, what he would do was, he would tell us to close our eyes, okay, and take deep breaths. So he would make us take deep breaths around 8 to 10 times. But what we realized was that after each deep breath, there was some calmness in our mind. And you see that for yourself. And after 8 to 10 breaths, our mind had calmed down considerably. So when he started doing that, and then he would say, okay, fine. This is what it is. Be in this position. This is the match situation. Now visualize what you will do. So he would give us a match situation, and he would give us 10 minutes to visualize what we would do. We would not have to open our eyes. And each one of us then would visualize ourselves in terms of the match situation, depending upon our role in the team, where we were positioned in the court. What did that do to us? When we went for important matches, it made us more comfortable. It made us more confident. it did not make us extremely nervous, because we were always prepared in the mind what we had to anticipate, how we had to handle that anticipation. And that is something he trained us. And this I'm talking about good 25, 30 years back. So what are the steps for effective creative visualization? You see, so the first thing is you need to set your goal. So we have students here. So I'll give you a very basic example. These students probably are some in the final year of graduation as well. And probably some of you would be sitting for your placement interviews, and some of you would be sitting for your higher education entrance tests as well. And you would face interview either ways, whether for a job or for a higher education institute. So let's say that is your goal, that I want a job, or I'm looking for this role in this company at this package, or I'm looking for a role, or I'm looking for an admission into this institute. So then how do you start preparing? Now you set a goal, and this goal has a deadline because it focuses on a SMART principle. You see, SMART is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. So you set a goal which is specific. I want a role, this job in this role in this company at this package. And I'm sure this is something which is measurable because it has a deadline also, and you have set parameters for it. And this is not outwardly unachievable. So it is a very achievable goal. It is realistic, and it is time bound because whenever you're going to sit for placements or your entrance exam. So now every day, if you start visualizing and go through the entire process of achieving this goal in that visualization, that is, if I need to get a job, how do I need to present myself? What is the kind of confidence that I need to communicate? How is my communication going to be? How is my knowledge going to be? What is the control on my subject going to be? How aware have I to be on my current affairs? What is it that the company would require? What information I would need on the organization that I want to be? What information do I need on the industry that I want to be in? How do I project myself, capable of getting into and doing this responsibility? So when you are now day in, day out for good 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, visualizing this goal that you have set for yourself, and the process that you have to go through this step by step, and imbibing that process into your daily routine, you see, it would help you get closer to the goal that you have set. And then after you have chosen this goal, you started practicing this, you started visualizing this, you started changing your attitude towards your goal, you've started changing your attitude towards the preparation towards this goal. And then in the end, you will see, when you are practicing this, when you are involved in this, you would not find it difficulty in facing any challenging situation that you might encounter, and you will end of the day get into that institute or get into that role that you have set out for yourself. There might be a lot of negative thoughts also coming to you in your mind during this visualization practice, you see. So you'll have to acknowledge those negative thoughts as well. You don't have to shut them or block them, right? You acknowledge them, and when you acknowledge them, then simultaneously develop a positive thought around it, how you will handle that negative thought. So this is all techniques to practice, right? So the first thing that you need to do to create a step for effective visualization is set a goal. Because if you don't have a goal, then you are wandering aimlessly. Okay. So the moment you've set a goal, what is the second step? Second step is you've created a clear idea or a picture of that goal. So what have we discussed? We've discussed that you've set a goal for yourself, and in that goal, what you've done is you've created a process that this is what is required to be done. So you've created a complete image around it, keeping in mind your 5 senses also, right? So you've created a mental picture and you are thinking of it in the present tense. This is how I'm going to do about it. This is what I'm going to do about it. This is how I will then prepare myself for it, right? And after that, then what is the third step? Third step is now practicing it, focusing it on it day in, day out. Because the more you focus on it, then you are ingraining it into yourself. You are imbibing it into yourself. So meditation is the route to really focus it on. Close your eyes, meditate. The meditation will help you relax also. It is important that you don't, focus too much on the obstacles or the negative issues that you will bring on it. And after you have focused on it, you are talking positively about the entire thing. That is the positive affirmations that we talk about it. You make positive statements around it. I will be doing this. I have completed this. I have learned this. I can handle this. You see, so the goal that you've set, the process that you've built around it, the focus that you've put on it, that is your, the energy that you've put on it, and the positivity with the statements that you are bringing around it. These things, this process, when you continue with this process over a period of time, you will achieve your goal. No longer how much time it will come to you, and it will manifest as a reality. And you see, you might have to change a habit also, because now here I'm going to link habit to your visualization. Because if we set a goal for yourselves, for ourselves, we might have to also inculcate new habits. You see, and in those habits, how do you sustain those habits? What are the 4 steps? What are the 4 steps in building a habit? I'll share with you a small story, and I'll give you an example, because there is nothing like overnight, because each one of us, whether we are a student, whether we are a faculty, each one of us wants to be a successful person. But how do you attain that success? Do you believe in overnight success? I don't think so. There's nothing like overnight success. It is the manifestation of previous period of howsoever long, that period of consistent, disciplined hard work. If you visualize, if I may tell you and ask each one of you to close your eyes and visualize a stone cutter who's pounding at the stone, trying to cut the stone. So with the one effort and one effort of pounding at the stone, nothing happens. The stone doesn't break. He continues to do that. Nothing happens, nothing happens, nothing happens, nothing happens. And then with one additional effort, then the stone breaks. Now, if you close your eyes and visualize this, it was not that he achieved overnight success at breaking the stone. It was his effort of previous hammering that created that overnight success of finally being successful in breaking the stone. So visualization is a technique to help the goal achieve our goal. And for achieving that goal, we have to start visualizing the process. And in imbibing that process, we might have to inculcate our habits, and our habits have to be incrementally improving. And that is how it will become a natural habit. So what is incremental improving? I'll share with you an example. We all know that water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. Yeah, we all know that. That's common knowledge. So when water boils at 100 degrees Celsius, there is steam that comes out of water. And there is also steam that comes out at 95 degrees Celsius, 96 degrees Celsius, 97, 98, 99, and then 90. But the steam that comes out at 98 degrees Celsius or 99 degrees Celsius, the utility of that steam is very different from the utility of the steam that comes out at 100 degrees Celsius. Because the steam that comes out at 100 degrees Celsius is used, also has a utility probably where it moves steam engines or steam turbines, which might not be able to or might not be possible to move from a steam that comes out at 98 or a 99 or a 96. So that's a 1 degree change. So 1 degree change in the temperature of water changes the utility of the steam. So 1 degree change in your habit changes the utility of your or makes you a success, overnight success that you would call over a period of time. Because continuously changing that 1 degree change, 1 degree change, 1 degree change over a period of time, and when you visualize that entire process, helps you manifest that goal in reality. I'll give you my example. In the first wave of COVID, in November of 2020, I also had, I got down with COVID. Now, before I got down with COVID, I was regularly running. I was jogging 2-3 kilometers a day. I was exercising, so when I got first symptom and it was cold, little shivering, I was in a state of denial. I thought, no, it cannot be COVID, because I was cautious also. I was extremely cautious as well. But when finally, after 5-6 days, the COVID got detected and I started taking medicines, it had impacted my lungs and I had to be admitted in the hospital. So I stayed around eight days in hospital, came back. So the body was in bad shape. The mindset was in bad shape. So it took me 2 months to really get into the normal self. So when after 2 months, now I'm in February, March. So I've not started jogging till now. Not started walking too much. So now when I feel that now I'm in normal self, now I'm okay, getting better, I start to jog, but I'm not able to because the body's in bad shape, energy nahi hai, bilkul bhi nahi hai. And that is when I applied this incremental. So the circle around my society is around 250 meters, right? So 1% extra 2 meters. So I started increasing my change every day by 1%, 5 meters, 5 meters, 5 meters. So today I finished at 250 meters. The next day I had finished at added 5 meters. So 255 meters. The third day, 260 meters. So I started increasing the rounds, the distance every day by a small incremental, increase, incremental increase. And today, as I speak, and we're sitting in October of 2022, so it has been a continuous effort. And now I jog good 2 kilometers in around 11.5 minutes. So what I'm trying to say is, visualizing something, applying that, building a new habit around it is something that is going to help us in manifesting the goal that we set out in reality. So what have we discussed so far? We've discussed the benefits. We've discussed the steps that we need to take. I will reiterate the steps once again. The steps where it is that you need to set a goal for yourself. Once you set a goal, you need to have a clear picture, an idea, whatever it is, and that goal has to be very, according to the SMART principle. And then you focus it on the goal that you have set out with meditation, and then create positive energy around it. Don't ignore the negative thoughts. Acknowledge your negative thoughts, and on each negative thought, try to bring in a positive statement. Right? And the technique of bringing a positive statement with a negative thought is like, for example, a negative thought, oh my God, what is this? But then technique is how wonderful, and try to link a positive angle to whatever the, oh my God, negative thought that has come into your mind. So how wonderful is going to be the positive part of it. Okay. So that's a technique. So achieving that goal and inculcating a new habit and incrementally improving on that habit, I'll just quickly give you, because it's a separate topic altogether and take a lot of time, but then I'll just give you a small idea how to develop your 4 habits, what are the 4 steps to develop a habit. There's always a cue. So the first step is cue. Identify what is the cue. Once you have identified the cue, it leads to craving. Okay. Your craving will lead to your response, and your response will give you a reward, and that reward will again give you a cue, and that is the cycle to develop a new habit. Okay. So let's say now you've started visualizing going to the gym, and every morning you visualize, this is the time that I would wake up. This is how I will get ready. So it is not as a New Year resolution, it is not in the diary anymore. It is in your mind. And when it is in your mind, you have segregated it to one step, each process. You've segregated it into the minutest of detail as possible. In terms of when you sleep in night, how are you going to arrange your things that you require for going to the gym tomorrow? When will you wake up? Alarm clock. When you wake up, what are you going to do? What is it? So the clothes that you've already set out, you will wear them, and then you will quickly carry whatever you need to carry for the gym. Then this is how you will step into the car or howsoever you're going to the gym. And this is how you will park. This is how you'll walk up to the gym. This is what schedule that you have for the day. This is how you will exercise. So you have everything sorted in your mind. So when you have everything sorted in your mind, so what is the cue? The cue is the alarm clock ringing in the morning, going to the gym. So you've taken the cue, you've woken up, and there is a craving to get ready now, get into the gym. And the craving has led to a response. You've arranged all your things, got into the car, got into the gym, started exercising. And what is the reward? Your shape that you get into over a period of time. So the more you continue into this cycle, visualizing in your mind, and the more you continue into your cycle, over a 6 months period, over a 8-month period, or over a year, you will see the body completely transformed. And that is what leads to transformation. That is when I said visualization as a technique, it leads to self-development or transformation, but it has to be consistent. You have to have a discipline towards it, right? There is nothing without discipline, right? So cue, craving, reward, response, reward. These are the 4 that helps you build a habit, and that is how your new habits are formed. That is how then you get transformed. You see, we all have probably heard of David Beckham, you see, and we've all heard of his famous banana free kick, you see. Now, it is not at the spur of the moment that, he comes, takes the kicks, and then it gets into that banana shape and then gets into the net. It's not like that. It's the years of hard work that has gone into it. It's the control on mind by visualization that has gone into it, which has helped him get into that precision mode in high stress situations and achieve a performance which is expected out of him because of the practice and the visualization. So like I said at the start, there has to be an absolute certainty in whatever you visualize. This is what is going to happen. This is how I'm going to do it. The moment you've got your absolute certainty into your visualization, tap your full potential to it. Practice hard. And then take complete action. And that is how you get massive results. And all these things then reinforces that belief. And that is what happens with every international athlete, national athlete, whoever gets at the top. Because they have done that over a period of time regularly. Now, so coming on to all this, there's another story that I'll share with you. And in that story, I'll share with you probably 2 stories, right? And through those stories, I'll tell you now, the moment you visualize, so you can handle any situation then, because that's a practice that you have ingrained in yourself. So, so there is this Zen master, and there is a young archer who's a champion archer, and he's an acknowledged best in the world young archer, So now what he does is he tries to boast about his ability, and he draws the Zen master into a competition, and he takes a aim and shoots an arrow out of his bow, and it hits a tree. And then he takes out another arrow, takes aim, releases out of the bow, and this second arrow pierces the first arrow from the back and pierces it into 2, cuts it into 2. And that is when he sees at the Zen master and tries to ask him, can you better this? So the Zen master sees all this, but does not react, and motions him to follow him, and he starts walking towards a mountain. So now the Zen master is walking in towards the mountain. This young archer, he says he doesn't understand what has happened. So because he's asked to follow, so he follows the Zen master towards the mountain. Now the Zen master reaches the top of the mountain, and there is a wedge, and there is a log which connects the two sides of the mountain. And this young archer is very confused, perplexed. What is he doing? And now the Zen master takes step on that log and walks to the center of that log. And when he walks to that center of that log, and he takes aim and aims at a faraway target, and he hits that target. And then he takes another aim and hits at the back of that first arrow and splits it into two. And now the Zen master comes back to where the young archer is standing and motions him, go ahead, and can you do this? Now the young archer sees that entire setting, top of the mountain, standing on log in between, a huge drop in the center of the log, and he starts to getting unsettled, unnerved, nervous, completely loses confidence, and says, no, I can't do it. So that is where the Zen master counsels him and tells him that if you need to succeed, try to first have control over your mind. And that you can do that by visualizing what you need or what you are expected to do. You are happy in the glory of achieving something in one particular set of circumstances. When I changed the circumstance of which you had no experience, and you had made no effort on your own to also probably visualize and try to practice your sport in different set of circumstances, and then that is the reason you felt uncomfortable, you felt nerved, and you could not perform. So mind is a very important part of your preparation in anything, and that is where visualization comes. That's how you control it. We all understand cricket, we all play cricket, and we all know the players, you see. And one important aspect that each cricketer does, and I was reading in one of the magazines where Rahul Dravid had said that before I step for a match, let's say for example tomorrow is a match, okay, so the night before that I would go into my room and I would start visualizing the entire thing, how I would ready my stuff the night before, when would I wake up, how would I get ready, what would I need to check, when and what am I going to have in my breakfast, what am I going to do in the bus when we travel from the hotel to the ground, when I get off the bus, and walk to the stadium, into the dressing room. How am I going to do that? How am I going to arrange my things in the dressing room? How am I going to prepare myself for my batting? How am I going to walk to the pitch? How am I going to take my guard? How am I going to face the first ball? So all this, he said, by visualizing all this, gave us the preparation that we wanted in our mind. And that in turn helped us feel more confident. And not only Rahul Dravid, I guess every cricketer does this, because it helps them control their mind and helps them be in control of the situation. And that's when the feeling comes to the mind that I am in control, I am in control, I am in control. And that's the feeling that you take into when you go out to bat. And that's what impacts your performance. Right? So visualizing has that kind of impact. So the last story that I would tell you around before we end it and take questions is in terms of, British cycling team till about if you ask me, till about 2003, a British cycling team had never won an Olympic gold medal. The world important race in cycling is Tour de France. So no British cyclist had ever won that race as well. So the British Cycling Federation, they hire a coach. So when they hire a coach, performance coach, to improve the performance of the cycling team, what does he do? He visualizes the minutest of detail that goes into a cycling competition. Minutest of detail. So he's noted everything down. The minutest of detail that has gone into the cycling competition, right from the seat, the cushion, the tires, the truck, the soap, or the mattress, the pillows, everything. So the moment he has identified and visualized the entire thing that goes into the British cycling, that goes into the cycling competition, and he starts focusing on each one at a time, at a time, at a time. So he starts to rub alcohol on the tire for a better grip. He changes the clothing of the cyclists to help them, perform better. He changes the he sees that the truck, he paints the floor of the truck completely white to see and identify any speck of dirt that might be there, which can get into the tire and impact the performance. He hires a doctor to tutor the cyclists how to wash hands so that they don't catch cold. He changes the mattress, the gels, the pillows, so that they have a good rest. And for 5 years then, he has lived, visualized those changes, incorporated those in the practice, and visualized the team winning tournaments. And the first chance comes in 2008 Olympics. And in 2008 Olympics, the British cyclists are able to achieve and win a couple of gold medals. And then in 2012 Olympics, they achieve more gold medals. Their cyclists also win Tour de France. And then over a period of time, the winning has become a habit, and they have now created world champions. They've won consistently the gold medals at Olympics. So at a time when the cyclist manufacturers in the world would not sell their cycles to the British cycling team, fearing that other teams will not buy from them because the British cyclist team is not winning championships, is not winning gold medals, to a point where they are creating world champions. Now, this journey is a combination of hard work, discipline, visualization, improvement, incremental improvement, creating new habits, all these things put together. So that is where visualization, that is how visualization helps you. That is how visualization will bring in more impactful transformation in yourself, you see. And I guess this is now the time where in this, what we should be doing rather now is we should be making visualization as part of our life. We should be, I'll give you a small exercise to do. Probably, you can do it at your free time. So if you stand up on your and close your feet and stretch your hand like this, and without and see how far back can you take this, keeping your feet straight, not turning your feet, you see, and note where you've been able to take it. And after this, now close your eyes and 5 minutes visualize again the same exercise and practice taking this as far back as you can. And for 5 minutes, continue doing this. Visualize it. Go step by step. This is how you're going to turn and take it back behind you, keeping your legs straight and not moving your feet, keeping your feet joined and not moving, and turning your hand and taking it back. And after 5 minutes of visualizing, and when you visualize, you don't have to move it. You'll have to visualize it in your mind. You don't have to move your hand, right? So after one try, when you are now visualizing it, closing your eyes, you are standing still, but visualizing everything in your mind. So 5 minutes, do that. And then open your eyes again. And then take this back. Trust me, you will find a 25% improvement in your effort. And once you've had that kind of and seen that kind of an improvement, you would see how this exercise, and this is a very normal exercise that I've shared with you to do to help you understand how to do and the impact visualization can have on your performance, right? So what I would suggest is make visualization as part of your routine, make visualization as part of your life. It is not very difficult. It requires everyday morning, probably 5 minutes, 10 minutes of meditation to visualize what you want to achieve. And then try to use it in a manner that works for you. There's a basic technique, and then in that basic technique, you can improvise in the manner that it works for you. And trust me, it will help you create that positive change around what change you want to see in yourself. Right? So this is a very basic thing that I've shared with you. There's a whole lot of other aspects to it. Probably we'll have a longer duration workshop, then we'll do that. I guess that's what finishes, and I would be happy to take questions if any. Ashima ma'am.
Yes, sir. So thank you, Martin, sir, for such an enlightening session. Now I would like to request the question answer handling team to take over. Mansi? Uh, just give me 1 minute. Let me coordinate. Meanwhile, if any of the participants they have any query, they can ping that in the chat box, or they can raise their hands. Okay. So, sir, we have a question from Miss Daisy. What are the different methods to improve visualization power?
So I guess I've already said that, we've given them steps, the 4 basic steps to improve your visualization power. Set a goal, put focus on it, and uh, create the energy, focus on it, create a clear idea and picture in your mind, and then give a positive energy to it. So these are the uh, basic methods to improve your visualization, techniques to improve your visualization. End of the day, you see, you need to be uh, setting small goals for yourself, and then visualize on those goals. Start getting into the process that we've just shared, 4 steps. Set your goals, create a clear, go into the minutest of detail of that goal, how you're going to achieve it, and then focus on it, meditate on it every day, probably 2 times a day. And during the day also, when you are doing your things subconsciously, you should be thinking, you can think on it, this is what I want to achieve, this is how I see myself, and then start talking positively around it, start acknowledging negative thoughts. So these are the things that you can do on a daily basis to really improve your visualization part.
Okay. So the next question is by Diksha. She's asking, sir, what are the important points to visualize the mind better?
So I guess it is again the overlap of the first question, but the first thing, before you really visualize, you see, you need to understand your state of mind. So the most important thing and the most important point to visualize better is that your mind should be relaxed. It should be calm. So how to do that is the more important question. Because when we are getting into that visualization state, and we are engrossed in our daily routine, there might be multiple of thoughts crisscrossing our mind. There's a lot of information that comes to our brain, and our brain processes a minuscule of information of what you receive, so you really need to calm it to really get into that mode. So how do you calm it is more important. So to calm it is take a deep breath. So when you take one deep breath, you would see the mind getting a little calmer. And then when you take around 8 to 10 deep breaths, your mind will have calmed down considerably. And that is something that you need to focus on before you start your visualization. Can we go to the next, ma'am?
Sure, sir. If any of the participants they want to ask any query, they can. Okay, I think Ruchika ma'am have some query. So Ruchika ma'am, Can you unmute yourself?
Yes, thank you, Ashma.
Okay.
Okay, I have a brief question. I mean, I would not take longer, but before that, I would really like to thank Nishchal sir for taking this wonderful session. Uh, even I'm reading about such topics like manifestation, power of habit, and I really like today's session, sir. Thank you
Thank
for
you,
this
ma'am. Thank you.
wonderful session.
Thank you
And
very much.
I really like the part where you talked about that how we can ensure the steps, the process, that how we can actually ensure how these students or even all of us can ensure that we are visualizing in an effective manner.
Right.
So my question would be
Yeah.
that when we say that we must first step, primary step would be to calm ourselves.
Right.
So in order to calm ourselves, we must meditate.
Right.
Or I mean, I would like to now ask that how one should meditate if somebody who doesn't know how to do meditation or doesn't follow any meditation technique, any specific meditation technique, if you
Right.
can just
Right. Right.
briefly highlight upon that, so that would actually be helpful for our students.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
So, so that's a good question, ma'am. How to meditate, and I guess the first thing, meditation is not something which is a very rocket science per se, but what you should do is in terms of focusing, how to meditate in terms of focusing on meditation. Try to go into a place where there is minimalistic noise. That is one, right? And there should not be too much of disturbances around. Okay, and then sit upright. So you if you say that, okay, fine, I want to meditate, but I want to lie down and think about something else. So meditation is focusing and controlling your mind. So how do you, to do that, you really need to block out the outer disturbances. So to help you block out those outer disturbances, one, your place of meditation should be quiet, calm, relaxed, and then you should sit cross-legged with a straight back. Close your, close your eyes, hands stretched, and then before you really start meditating, take deep breaths. So one deep breath is going to relax your mind. That is the first thing to do, right? And whatever you believe in, whatever gives you that calmness, by you say your prayers, you say your prayer, probably pray every morning. So close that eyes and think about what faith you have, and then that is something that will lead to your meditation. And then slowly, once you've done that control in your mind, then you can start visualizing things that you want. Yeah.
Ji, ji. हाँ जी. So even one can
Like for
either
example,
press or mute it, right?
like for example, when I started learning meditation, you see, I would get into my puja room, block out all the external noise, and just chant Om with my eyes closed, right? And that vibration, and then everything else, you start getting into that mode. So what you will have to see what works for you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Thank
So
you, ma'am. Thank
kind
you.
of you for enlightening us all.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Okay, thank you, Ruchika ma'am, and thank you, sir. And sir, I think the last question is from again, I think Diksha. She wants to ask how to control the subconscious mind when things are not in our control, and how can we look out in things in a positive manner.
Yeah. So it's a practice, Diksha ma'am. It's a practice, and you see, controlling your subconscious mind is something that we all strive for, and that's the calmness that will, and that is what is going to give us calmness internally, right? So that is what I said. Don't don't block out the negative thoughts, because that will again come in and trouble you, right? So the first thing, the I would say the thumb rule or the guru mantra that my guru taught me is to first control your breathing. That's very important. Control your breath. Sync with your breath, because you see, even if the point is, because when we are born, we are breathing, and when we die, we take the last breath. So breath is very important. So the moment you control your breath and you're synced with your breath, then the controlling of mind is, because there's so much information that you're processing. Your brain is processing so much of information. So the challenge is, how do I block that? So what you need to do is, then you start focusing on one thing slowly and gradually, which you want to focus on, blocking out the rest. And in that thing, there'll be a lot of negative thoughts that coming in, because that's your next question. How do we look out things in a positive manner? Because next is the negative thoughts. Like I said earlier, any negative thought that comes in, so negative thoughts में क्या होता है, expression आ जाता है, oh no, ये negative thought आ रही है मेरे mind में. So to control that and change it into a positive manner, use this concept of, oh no, how wonderful. So when you say, oh no, this negative thought, how wonderful, and change that negative thought into a positive action or a positive thought. So that's how you will, when you practice it over a period of time, then you will start getting in control of things and creating a attitude towards it, and then slowly it will get into your natural self. I hope I've been able to answer.
Okay. So one last question is from, I think, Mr. Vikas Kumar. Can visualization be beneficial in curing a disease?
Vikas ji, yes, absolutely. Why not? I was reading some time back that visualization has helped people. I mean, there was this gentleman who was suffering from cancer, and he started visualizing in addition to what. So it's not a alternate to the medicine, but it only helps you also control and probably fasten your recovery and speed up the recovery, because once you control your mind, and there was this gentleman who was visualizing the white blood cells fighting in the body, and helping him fight the cells that had gone cancerous, and then at the end of the day he was able to recover and live longer. So yes, why not? Can help you cure diseases, but it is not an alternate. You cannot say that this is alternate to medicines. Ashima ma'am, I hope I've been able to answer.
Yes, sir. Right, sir. If any other participant, they have any other query, they can pin that in the chat box, or they can raise their hands. Okay, so I think we are done. So now moving forward to the vote of thanks. Okay, so first of all, I would take this immense pleasure to thank you, Nishal sir, for taking out time from your busy schedule to be a valuable resource person today. All thanks to your enlightening words, sir, that inspired us so many people out here, and really how beautifully you quoted practical examples to change our outlook towards positivity, and understanding how strong our power of visualization can actually be. So we can't thank you enough for aggressing all of us here, and invigorating all our spirits. So thank you so much, Nishal sir, and we are looking forward to many more such enlightening sessions with you, sir, in future.
Thank you, ma'am. My pleasure. Thank you very much for having me here, and thank you, participants, for being such a lovely audience and patiently listening. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, sir. And also, I would like to thank and congratulate the entire team of Edison, who has worked very hard to make this workshop actually happen. And last but not the least, a big thank you to all the participants who have joined us today and yesterday also in this 2 days workshop. We just hope that all guys have a great time. And thank you for being such a lovely and interactive audience. And we hope we depart on the note of having learned something that will actually help all of us in future. So thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. And for the participants, we have already pinned the feedback link in the chat box. So kindly fill that feedback today itself. So that would help us in issuing your e-certificates timely. Thank you so much. And also for all the participants, please don't leave that WhatsApp group. We would be updating all the things on that group only. So it's a request, please don't leave that group until all of you have given the certificates. Thank you all. Mansi, you can end the meeting now.
Okay.